Всем привет.
Hello, everyone.
Слушайте, вы в субботу добрались
Well, you made it here
Лужников. Я не знаю, кто откуда,
on Saturday. Well,
это,
in my case,
как это сказать, большая победа.
well, this was a big win.
Спасибо тебе, что ты сюда
Thank you for coming,
свободное время.
because this is your
И ты здесь, и
kind of
мне кажется,
weekend, and you are here.
о том, что
And this just means that, well, you know,
вот
there are different types of people.
ходили на
I remember we discussed passengers. We
отдыхают
also have those who are kind of having a vacation, and those who are really motivated and committed. And the fact that you are here means that you are motivated. Just for my understanding, who of you are managers, kind of people managers, or planning to become
Фига себе,
them?
слушайте, круто. Тогда
Okay, that's cool. Then you should be interested,
здесь
because,
опыт,
well, we are talking about my personal experience, the experience of
который мы
my team.
долго
And for quite some time, we've been kind of developing it. It's the result of our 3 years of work, and sometimes we had to make some leaps forward. You just choose a dimension, and you understand that if you make it there, it will be great. The discussions of discerning between the good and bad. Here I'm discussing our experience, but I hope it is going to be useful, because that's our experience.
попробую рассказать,
So what we have
приходили.
kind of already done. And I'll share with you the way we kind of reached this level.
Рассказал, что
Okay, why?
долгое время и до сих пор, наверное, морочусь тем,
For quite some time,
гештальт
I've been kind of trying to kind of complete my gestalt, or find the right balance in terms of security, and it's quite evasive. I'm not trying to improve the process, I'm trying to protect people from threats, how to measure security, what are the risks, what's the risk appetite, and so on and so forth. Sometimes these are tricky questions.
командой все-таки
When you manage the team,
команда, как сфокусировать команду,
so the question is how to focus the team on the important things,
тем, что
so that the team doesn't just deal with something which was sometimes supposed by someone like me.
на
I
том,
want the team to focus on the things which are really important
угроз.
to overcome some threats or attack vectors.
Плюс важно, что трезвая оценка компетенций
It's really important to
часто не
well assess the competences and available resources. You kind of expect it from the team
что люди
that they will do something, whereas they are
ресурсов либо
either
компетенций, что угодно.
incapable or short of resources or whatever.
В итоге управление безопасностью это такое ревью, как
So-
это получилось, что изначально там было чуть в начале про тушение
InfoSec management.
занимались
We
тушением
started with firefighting.
безопасность, когда
That's clear. So when you started,
попытки
it's all about firefighting, trying to build some operational processes and metrics. So we started with stock taken, installing antiviruses,
все прям вот по
some basic components, so following the standards of the central bank. So we introduced the baseline processes. We started measuring this with metrics.
порядку рассказать.
And then, well, I go one by one. Then we started kind of combating some vectors of attack, and then we kind of exclude some vectors of attack. Then L1, the baseline processes. And we have many standards describing the way to build processes and metrics. And that's cool.
Мы пытались их померить, по-моему,
So we tried to measure it. We have 350 processes in InfoSec, and we have about 400 of metrics there. And we have other processes, we measure everything. But the question is, why? So we do need process 301.
дофига.
So we started thinking about it. So why?
Про рост команды,
So this is about the development of the team
проблемы мы
and so on.
постфактум
And we responded to some problem post factum. So you have a new
и так далее, и так далее.
threat, so we monitor this, but we still respond post factum. So we covered some holes for the past, but if some new things happen, like phishing in Telegram, so we're not ready for this. So we need to monitor the market again, and we don't prevent some threats.
Поэтому
That is why,
L2.
talking about L2,
Мы начали думать, как
security from attack vectors, we started thinking about it.
потому что
Well, it's not only
защита от векторов атак это, во-первых,
kind of because it's fun,
квалифицированный.
but the team, the well-skilled team, should have some
Если кто слушал вчера,
stimuli.
пытались поговорить
Well, talking about this yesterday,
безопасников и так далее. На самом деле безопасность тяжелая.
we mentioned burnout. Well, security is a difficult field, and my
Если вы хотите быть
kind of goal and your goal as managers, so we need to generate kind of meaning. So why should people work hard if they sometimes get negative results or negative feedback? So it's really cool when the team is liberated. You tell them, okay, this is your turf, that's yours.
антивирус, то он просто
If you tell the guys to install the antivirus, so they become the antivirus guy. But if you tell them protect the workstation from a set of kind of vectors, so they start thinking differently, and this is much cooler to work like that. We tried to protect from vectors, so we just didn't have a boss who would say what kind of vector you're trying to protect against today. So we usually don't have many of them. Usually it all kind of came to my level. If I don't say that we shouldn't kind of protect from phishing in Telegram, maybe that's not important, but maybe I'm not aware of some vectors because I'm busy with my meetings and so on.
думали, как перейти туда, и оказалось, что самым
We were thinking about kind of the way to proceed, and it turned out that the best kind of approach is the product approach. So here we are talking about research of these vectors, and the team is kind of given freedom to choose the tactics to reach the goal. Well, this is a really difficult step
верится.
for the manager to trust them like that. Well, in the past, I tried to control everything. It didn't work out because it's difficult to control 350 processes. This is impossible. You cannot, shift between things so many times, but to kind of delegate it, to tell them, okay, now you are in charge. Well, this is extremely difficult for a manager. So this is
Играет роль для
a
команды.
leap of hope, so to say. And but this is still worth it, and this is really important for the team.
Вот. Продуктовый подход.
Okay, the product-based approach. So we are focusing on the important things.
Как будет выглядеть
So we've been thinking about the product to protect workstations in 3 years. What's the kind of vision over the horizon? This is really cool,
я вот
and well, I've never thought about this like that. So we are running, we are thinking about short-term tasks,
3 дня
but if you spend, say, 3 days thinking about your over-the-horizon destination, this really motivates you to properly build your tactics today.
то, что я говорил. Трезвая оценка. По некоторым, попилив на продукт,
Okay,
мы увидели, что
when we slice and dice it by products, we see that some products responsible for the scope
5
like give us 1.5 FTEs.
этот,
So the scope is huge, and they don't have competencies, they don't have qualifications,
вот такие, короче, прям.
but we have the big goals somehow. And when you give it, a cold eye review, understand that this is not going to happen. So you as a manager either relocate resources or do it in some other way.
На самом деле состоит из 3 базовых.
Okay, the kind of product approach.
Это обычно
There are 3 kind of elements here. We borrowed it from the business. So we just went to the business guys and asked them, how do you make your products? Okay, information security is not exactly about products. By the way, what I'm talking about is not about a revolution. I hate revolutions. Nothing works like that. This is about evolutions, and when you introduce new practices little by little, so this started with departments. So we called this we call them this way.
Продукт —
And we started applying new mechanics here. Okay, understanding the customer journey map, the CJM. So we found CJM in the product responsible for data security, which kind of punishes people for not processing data properly. So the guy who is punished is the client. And you know what we saw? We asked them, what is your goal? Okay, the goal is to prevent data leakages. Okay, what do you do? Well, I punish people for this. Okay, that's cool. When you punish the people, does it work? Can we go through kind of all the journey, starting with the task and all the way to being hit by a stick? Okay, the goal is for people not to violate. So now we have a crowd of people who don't like the security guys because they don't understand what they are punished for. Okay, then we started readjusting this. We introduced the yellow and red cards, and so on and so forth. So when the product owners start thinking about the product, they build processes differently. And so they kind of now understand that they should look back to see where the data was taken from. So maybe you should start with the reason, not with the consequences. And this way you kind of change the mentality. Okay, determining the goals and, well, the feasibility trials, and sometimes we had several iterations. So why do we need products? Sometimes we just switched off the products because we understood that we don't need them. They are there because sometimes 5 years ago we decided that we cannot just drop it. So people continue running on inertia. So, well, this is a good way of tidying up your room. And this is really cool. So they told me, okay, you told us to do this 3 years ago. Okay, I can't even remember that. Okay, business started understanding us better. And the most important thing is that it should be data-driven. Everything should be measured. All the products and the businesses, everything should be measured. And we even measure the exact. So we ask users whether they are satisfied on specific products, and that's how we get better. Okay, the product-focused approach. We're talking about the client. Okay, the designers made the presentation for me, and sometimes it's difficult to follow. Okay, except NPS, we have A/B tests.
Мы заметили одну крутую штуку. Безопасники, они же самые умные. Ну, это правда. Ну, как бы, кто здесь находится, ну, это очевидно.
Okay, the InfoSec guys are the smartest, right? So we should know everything about everyone. We often develop architectures. We use the experience of other people. We are in the administration, in the business fields, and we kind of decide what the clients want. But sometimes they don't want it, or sometimes it doesn't work. We run some A/B tests, and we started removing some features, in the bot because they are not happy about it. So you just run this test to switch things off. Yeah, that's a good thing, by the way. In terms of products, here we have the business goals. So when the goal is to install the ISS, so that's the goal. This is okay. But when the goal is to protect a workstation from a given class of attack vectors, so then we have this kind of solutions, like Kola is sitting here. So we had these solutions just to harden some infrastructure, to make it really small. So when you protect from an attack vector, sometimes you don't need the ISS. Sometimes it stands in your way. Maybe it's not too good to mention it from this stage, but since still, sometimes it's better to have a laptop with a TELUS operating system, with a browser with access to website, and you have a calling machine there, and that's it. How will you attack this? Well, that's the only thing it can do, So, okay, you can go to one website. That's it. You cannot build a tunnel. You cannot connect to it, and it will be refreshed or an automated way through the network. And so this is kind of a straightforward example. And sometimes clever guys, they start thinking differently.
Вот то, что я говорил, найти опасное обращение с данными.
Well,
Хорошая цель — это предотвратить
data security and kind of a good idea is to prevent kind of processing of some data. So we just remove the data. So the data breach bounty program we had. So our internal data bug bounty. So people just get rid of data. So people say we need to move data from A to B, and we say, okay, let's get rid of the data. Okay, yeah, we can. Okay, that's it. You don't need to do anything. You just delete the data you don't need. The analysts, they all want data. Well, 98% of data, they don't need to know the family name or the category of the client. They don't need this data, so it should be deleted, and that's it. And then you'll have different methods to protect your data. Okay, data-driven, we have a tree of metrics. I understand you kind of have this way to measure yourself. Any data. Well, we have a standalone discussion of how it should be done. And, well, we have some issues with data. We have a lot of data. People need it. And it's really important to know how to digest the data well, and you need to control this all the time.
Что мы начали вообще изначально, как мы строили продукты.
Okay, how did we build our products? So we thought about the product-oriented approach. Okay, and what should be the logic? Well, I tried to build security, and I'm still doing it through the MITRE metrics. I want the MITRE metrics to manage the InfoSec strategy, to understand what the SOC covers. So, if you fall down through the metrics, you have monitoring, prevention, and so on. So this expanded metrics is a really cool model, and we try to apply it this way. We try to understand the red team vectors, the popular vectors, the STI vectors, and we try to build a complete graph on the system. So we impose the metrics on our reality, and then we do understand the real grade of protection and where we go. This is extremely difficult to do. We've been doing it for about 2 years. But now we have a vector metrics which can help us understand the strategy. Okay, painters, they don't paint the whole picture in detail. They start with a sketch. They have some understanding of what it's going to look like, so they start with the sketches. So did we. What the product should look like to kind of prevent the MITRE metrics kind of vectors. Okay, initial access. This is one of the first stage. So we have TI for the previous steps. So we have the initial access, then we have the access point. So then they have a metrics gain access, and then they have this impact specific product. So what do I mean by this? This is the product which is most important. So if we are afraid of ransomware, then we'll be protected by the platform to recover. So we believe that from the impact of ransomware, we can be protected by protecting the platform and by recovery. Okay, we have initial access, like phishing. We have this attackability. So we look at the TI reports and see the number of attacks and what can be attacked. So we have the attack vector. Then we have the email security. Then we have gain access. So gain access would be all the other major steps we want to detail. Then we have the SOC, the VM as a servers. So this lets us protect from lateral movement. And then we have the business breakdown, core platform defense. So the core platform kind of helps. If things go wrong, they will help a lot of business. Okay, we have a lot of vectors like that, and here is the big matrix. So overall, the size is the same. So we have the right vectors. So this comes from the metrics, so initial access and so on. And against them, we can put forward some products, then gain access. Why do we need it? Is it precise? No, it's not precise at all. Far from it. Why do we need it? Well, we're managers, so we know that we have different communications, we have different moods. And when you communicate, your tactics might change. You are scared today. You heard some news that the company had been hacked through a third party, and you can bring all the team here into protection from the third parties. The team will listen to you, but forget detecting or fighting this from this field, but you don't understand the consequences. Well, this kind of picture, so before you rush to your room and before you start shouting, you should have a look at this metrics and to come down to see the priorities they are set so that you don't overlook something important. This is dynamic metrics, and we look at the attackability, so we can see that it changes. We understand what is critical here. We choose the priorities for the products. We understand where to invest, and we do it for a reason. We have some working mechanics. Like for some products, we have regular reviews. Every product owner, well, for non-critical products, it's done every half a year, and for critical, it's done every quarter. There we discuss the topical attack vectors. For the critical products, this is done more often because you need to be more focused on this, including the architects and the rest of the team. The critical products have a high priority in terms of hiring, and they are more often looked into concerning red teams. So we are more focused on them, kind of moving ahead, and it's more or less clear for the team. And there you have many side effects. Like the new guys who come, they just see the recorded reviews for every product, and this onboarding happens within a couple of minutes. And so we kind of can determine the priorities for the products. Well, it would be nice to use the metrics vectors, and that's what we are doing because we have some vectors there, and we kind of make it sure that we understand things right. But still, we understand some weak points. We understand which are better, which are worse, where to invest. We have the map of practices. So every product has a vision. They should know where they will be in 3 years. So we have the retro and demo. They're great things. They let the team understand their kind of participation, their contribution to the overall results. You're not just installing antiviruses. You protect workstations, you take decisions, and you can see the whole picture, and you have a different kind of attitude to this. Okay, product reviews. We have native tools. So this is really important. We are not developing tools for ourselves. InfoSec tools are often designed for InfoSec guys, and nobody wants them because they are made for InfoSec guys only. And it's really cool when you integrate security tools under the hood of IT tools. So, if you just have an extra click, you reduce your funnel. So if you have to go somewhere, well, people don't want to go somewhere. They want to develop a code. They don't want a link. They don't want to follow this. They don't want to read some strange things. They don't understand this stuff. So it destroys the journey and causes nothing but irritation. So we don't develop tools for ourselves. Okay, L3, the strategy. I like Robert Saporsky. He has a book saying that there is no any freedom of will. So they have this emergency idea. So you have this commis voyageur kind of task when the commis voyageur should go through a number of cities and do it in an optimal way. So this
Инициальное время нерешаемой.
cannot be resolved exponentially.
На 35 городах
But ants
и, то есть у них нет
can do it easily. They don't have any boss who says, "Okay, I'll find for you the right way." No, they have this kind of
нейроны.
the bees and the neurons. They follow this hive intellect, as they call it. And this is done without the participation of the main neuron to say that this is the right way to do things. And this kind of emergency says that systems might acquire features which are not features of standalone elements. So a molecule of water is not wet, but a drop of water is wet. Well, this is quite straightforward, but it's the way it is in the InfoSec. So we don't want to be the main bee telling everyone how to do things. So we started thinking about it, and we understood that we were, at this stage where you come to this farmer's market. Every product tries to be kind of locally maximized. Everybody tries to cover their vectors of attack, but we don't have, this coordinated movement. Sometimes they have conflicting kind of efforts, and we wanted to think about some breakthrough results in the strategy. We want to bring the bank and InfoSec in 3 to 5 years. So we understand we have great products, great product owners. They have their own goals, but we're not going to be there because everybody is just doing his thing. Okay, and when you go to this farmer's market, you know what you want to buy, but you want to do it like the IKEA does it. Okay, we don't have IKEA in Russia now, but anyway, their customer journey is fine. So when you go to the farmer's market, so you buy some socks somewhere and you go home. But when you go to the IKEA, so you come there for spoons, but you bring back home, a truckload of things because you have the right journey and you remember things along the way and so on and so forth. So we want it to be a comprehensive system so that we can manage the outcome. Okay, let's imagine it from the point of view of the overall security. Well, this is just an example. Here is what it looks like. There are some products they're developing somewhere. Some of them are going down in terms of the overall security. Okay, they move somewhere, they do things, they're introducing some network security, some are making some secure browsers, and by the end of the year we are in this condition. The overall kind of security goes down or goes up or not. So is it better or not? Why on earth are we doing it? Okay, similarly, it's getting better, but we want some kind of evidence. So if we build the products we have, we set the goals. So we believe that, okay, in terms of security, they should kind of move together. But these goals should be preset. Okay, but every product cannot kind of break this wall, and the breakthrough results for a given product are difficult to obtain because we have individual goals, there are conflicts, which is not bad, but it's difficult to move together. Okay, what shall we do? And we spent quite a lot of time into this. Okay. The designers decided that the kind of vision of the future is important. Okay, what to do about it? There are two important things here. They say this in all the books, and so they say that, well, strategies, they are all, paperwork. We have revised our strategy repeatedly. We invested quite a lot of time into putting it down because everybody has his or her understanding of the strategy. And I thought, okay, I'm a strategy guy. I'm thinking about it. I understand this. But when I started writing this, I understood that it's not that easy. I have revise it repeatedly. I would wake up at night to add something to the strategy, and even using my personal kind of approach. Some people want to do sports, some people want to lose weight or start eating properly or drinking less. But if it is not recorded somewhere, this often becomes just a wish. And the same is true for your kind of personal strategy. If you burn resources there, if you make little steps, and if you kind of put this down, then you move there. But if you think about it, okay, there is an issue with your kind of mind. So if you think about it, your brain decides, okay, you have already done it, so you shouldn't kind of deal with it. So there are some traps like that and biases. So if you deal with strategies, so please do it in writing, on a piece of paper, anywhere. And another important thing, so before you start anything, whatever it is, you should complete the old stage. So we understood that some of the team, when we said, okay, we should develop strategy, some of the team said, okay, do you mean that we don't need any products? And we said, okay, how come? Shit, we do need them. And I talked to some psychologists, and they said, you should kind of close the gestalt, and it's important. You should award people rightly or wrongly. So you should say, guys, here are the results, here are the next steps. So you should say why it's done this or that, and we do it repeatedly. And that's what the management should have. You should complete Gestalt. So, and people have different understanding of this. And so we should kind of cover the steps and to say frankly, okay, what worked, what didn't work, where we are going next, why we are going next. So these stages are extremely important for the team, because, well, if I deal with the strategy, say, 40% of my time, the team doesn't do it like that. And they say, okay, Dima is just sending us another file. Does it mean that we are throwing away the old one? Okay, this is extremely important. You have to do it. You have to bring together the team, talk to it, and so on and so forth. The context, it's important kind of to show where we come from. We brought to the strategic session the whole team, and we kind of talked about us, who we are. We talked about the culture, our attitude to failure, and kind of my understanding of the team is not necessarily what my team is in reality. So it's really important to understand who we are, and you shouldn't invent it. You should ask the team, and there are various tools to do it, quite many of them. Okay, how our security evolved. Okay. Strategy is a function, kind of bringing you from the past to the future. You cannot just forget the past and say, now I want this kind of the future, and I don't care what was before. You should have a look at the whole track, and you should kind of adjust it. It's either moving ahead some way, in a controlled way, but if you understand the past, understand your current state, you can adjust it. And, well, you cannot just invent something you want in a year. Well, you want to reshuffle half of the organization. It is not going to happen. The team will be demotivated because they think that you are doing something wrong. So it's really important to understand where we come from, where we are, and you should do it in writing. You just sit down and you say, okay, 5 years ago we were doing this and this bullshit, and you just put it down. And okay, this is easier to analyze and to see this stuff. Okay, analyzing the environment, the SWOT analysis. Okay. Yeah, I think they have opportunities. Okay, we should have opportunities in the SWOT analysis here. Okay, we have some weaknesses and so on. There are many methods, and we had this in writing. We used different methods. The SWOT system worked really well for us. We understood the strengths and weaknesses and some kind of constraints we have, some of our kind of opportunities. You should give it a cold eye review to understand where you are. and well, where we want to be, our vision. This is really important. We understood that we are kind of tired of firefighting. We want to exclude the clusters of vectors of attack, so that the new clusters, well, shouldn't be important for us. Okay, people are fighting with phishing. Okay, how kind of to make it? So if we have the phishing coming to us, destroying our laptops, how we should prevent it from doing something? Because the problem is not phishing, but are the consequences of it. Okay, what shall we do so that the threat and the vector through phishing shouldn't be important to us? And for some infrastructure, we managed to do it like that. We just hardened it. So it is not just going to start up there, because you cannot start it up there. Well, they can do some job for us. They can go to the CRM and they can service the clients. That's what phishing can do for us.
Про исключение векторов атак.
Okay, this is about excluding some vectors of attack. So we are not making tools just for ourselves. We understand the CGM, and we want to move to the platform level. So we reduce diversification. Google has this invariance notion, meaning that if you have 50 types of databases, you will never protect them. And we decided to invest into platform databases. We allocated a big team there, and we are migrating the other guys there, those who are now using some unique storages. So this is the right kind of tactic. Well, it's really difficult to try to secure a motley collection of hardware. So you should make platforms, you should make secure kind of sectors, and this is useful for our business. And yeah, that's where our business wants to go, and we just ride the wave really snugly. Okay, security should think about security. But overall, security has stakeholders. The InfoSec guys, the government, the clients, the shareholders, the employees. If we lose sight of them, we don't think about their needs and goals. And then they start either hurting us or ignoring us. The shareholders might say, why do we need InfoSec? So what are you doing? Strange guys sitting somewhere. So we started thinking about the things they want. And we kind of added the kind of supporting components to the strategy. So, okay, we did the things like the way we like it, but we should get feedback. So we have some understanding in terms of what the employees need, because we have the XAT, we have questionnaires and surveys, and we analyze the stuff when we add it to our strategic goals. And the most important goals, we believe, would be zero trust, data security, excluding vectors, making safe platforms. These are our key goals, but they are kind of secondary goals, and every product keeps them in kind of check, so that we don't lose sight of stakeholders. So, okay. The idea is that we have kind of strategic goals. So we have zero trust. 20% of services should go to the centralized authentication platform. This is just an example. So this is a KPI or KR, and we have an owner. This is not a product owner. This would be like a coordinator of this KR or KPI. Well, say that we have this goal, and it should go in the way of numbers to the product owners. And there's product owners, they should understand that they need to kind of prevent some attack vectors, but they also have some goals for the breakthrough results. Well, sometimes the server security, well, has to reduce the security of the product to kind of have important goals. And so setting priorities is a standalone topic. We have PI planning, and we have kind of the planning process for goal strategies, and we determine what comes first. And sometimes it's not the product which wins, but the overall kind of picture. And it's really important. It's not about people saying, okay, let's do some zero trust. And the security zero will tell him, okay, I'm busy. And kind of he understands that, okay, I'm doing the right thing, so get lost. Well, in terms of the global strategy, we are not going to reach our results. And now we have the global goals and all the department and have the support of the leadership and all the stuff, and they are all kind of pedaling that way, then it works better. And we have the same in percentage points, so we have specific KPIs, they should be measurable, and it's rolled out on our products.
Как это правильно померить? Ну, то есть мы пытаемся какие-то механики внедрить, чтобы видеть, как мы двигаемся по стратегии.
And now we are introducing mechanics to see whether we are going in the right way. So we understand that we are moving, but we need to measure this regularly. And for this, we need some sophisticated tools. Now it's on Wiki, on Jira, or on Excel spreadsheets, so that we take these decisions kind of faster than monthly or quarterly. And strategy introduction. There are 8 steps of change from quarter. So they are the most popular, I would say. Frankly speaking, that's what we do. And I started with the change steps, and then I learned about Mr. Quarter, who talks about it. Okay, we should determine the need for the team. Okay.
Составной, ну, то есть это не как код написать, короче.
Well, this is like writing codes, right? But dealing with people is a different thing. And we kind of, I would say, would repeatedly go through these steps. Some supported the strategy and the product approach and were the first to kind of go there. Some people haven't moved to this product approach, and I'm not going to. But this whole presentation and my speech is also a product. So we just don't want to apply the product approach to everything. We don't want everybody to follow the strategy. We take steps, we look at the results, we look at the feedback, and we do it quite flexibly. Okay, if someone is not supporting the product approach, maybe it's not a problem for the InfoSec services or products. But if you repeatedly go through these steps, if you are consumed with that, then the team will better adapt and understand where we are going. And I can tell you that, well, to draw a strategy, well, this is similarly difficult, but the changes in the team and the introduction of all of this is many times more difficult. And this is something you should believe, and this is your full-time effort. You should be really carried away by that. Well, okay, if you want to manage the strategy, this takes time. It takes a lot of my personal time, a lot of the time of the leads, and you should do it. I think that's it from me for now. Now we have the Q&A session.
Дадите микрофон, да?
Okay, can I get the mic?
Спасибо большое за доклад, Дмитрий.
Thank you very much, Dmitry, for your speech. My name is Ivan. I do product strategy in one vendor. Okay, the product approach, the overall concept is clear. I'd like to know, who is your customer? The system owner, the CTO, or the business product, the user, and so on. Okay, we have many different customers. So this varies depending on the customer. Are you talking about my customer? Okay, we have more than 30 products, and the customer is determined for every kind of product by the product owner. And sometimes this would be internal users. For some, it would be hackers. For some,
пользователи, которые
It would be the users who get some
абсолютно
kind
разные.
of
И вопрос в том, что этих клиентов может быть много
official
категорий.
demands, and
Как вот эти
so there are different categories here.
Почему мы говорим,
They might have an injunction, for instance,
я, честно
and so on and so forth.
с этой стороны,
So,
это по факту
well,
так получилось.
we are just talking about the customers like that.
И так еще
That's the
получилось,
way it
что я
kind of happened to be. Well, I
T-банка, ну, в Бразилии, собственно.
well talked to the T-Bank guys in Brazil, and I talked to a CISO guy there, and he had a department in the
Я так обалдел.
InfoSec, and it is called Custom Experience. I was amazed and decided to have this. In our awareness, we have people responsible for custom experience, and they single out the customers and they help you follow their customer journey. And some time ago, when we launched this process, I can share with you an example.
Experience, ребята,
When the customer experience guys try to go along the journey of the admin, get access with the terminal machine, they were
прозрачно, что делать, то есть
really, lost because they didn't understand what had to be done and so on, like in a vacuum. Many positive change came from this. So many people just tried to do it what we require, and they said, okay, it's not working like that. So they started bringing back the feedback to the products. It went to the backlog. We started improving things, and we kind of
почему-то,
launched this.
что это
Well,
просто не было
obviously, we hadn't been focused on this. People didn't think like that. It doesn't mean that our processes are bad. We just thought differently about it. We thought that they were fine,
вот, а оказывается нет.
but it wasn't fine.
Пройди этим путем.
Try to follow this journey. Thank you.
Добрый день.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for your speech, for the discussion we had yesterday about burning out. I represent
Корпоративная структура.
Russian industry, and we deal with HR and so on and so forth. But, well, we kind of hire the staff, hire technologists, and so on. I'd like to hear your CISO position on this. How to share it with the leadership that, well, some changes coming from the market should be accepted in terms of product, technology, and this stuff. Okay, this is a very good question, and I think
Чуть-чуть здесь.
it was
Попробуйте подумать про
touched upon. Try to think about their customer journey. What do they want?
мы хотим.
Okay, we think about what we want to share, but the question is
Да, то есть вы
much more straightforward. Just imagine you are this boss. Here is an InfoSec guy coming to him wanting something. Okay, the first kind of response is, oh, it used to be fine,
надо
well, and so on. So maybe you should try to understand what makes him tick, what kind of scale of issues would excite him or her. Maybe a finance, maybe he or she is doing money, managing, and try to come with something which is important for him or her. Not our message, but what kind of is important for him or her. And sometimes you don't need to take any decision, and this is great. And in some other cases, you should just share your message, but from the perspective of making it interesting for them. Well, this is quite abstract, I understand, but I talk to different top managers,
Они говорят, слушай,
and they tell me,
кстати, с позитива, по-моему, с Борисом.
yeah, this includes, by the way, Boris Simmings from Positive Technologies, and he says, well, guys come with some great technical things, one protocol replaced by another protocol, and he says, okay, do I need to do something? Okay, do I need it or not? What do you want from me? Okay, what will be the impact? What will kind of suffer? What I should do? And okay, he said, okay, Dima, I understand. You're doing this and that. Like, how to put it?
Что сделать?
По голове дать.
Yeah,
Кому по голове
whose head should roll for this? Okay, we will do it.
не звучит.
But quite often we cannot hear this in the dialogue.
Вот то, что я замечаю, что
Okay, I see this, and sometimes I receive this email like, 5 pages of something, it's not clear, no summary, no understanding. Maybe you could use ChatGPT to kind of tell me what they really wanted from me. It means that people don't think about my customer journey. I'm not going to look at some previous short messages, and, well, thinking about their customer journey. I think this is something which is much more promising.
Да, это
It's a continuous dialogue.
только так.
Yeah.
Половину вопросов вообще перестал задавать.
Okay, I stopped asking some questions and
Общаюсь с топ-менеджерами, с другими.
I talked to other top managers and so on.
Честно говоря.
И если можно, еще один вопрос.
Okay,
Часто
another question.
Пожалуйста, еще знаешь,
One more thing, by the way.
как будто бы
Well,
я предлагаю, если вам часто нужно что-то там от вашего руководителя,
if you often need something from your boss,
взятием на себя,
maybe you don't bear responsibility. You try to kind of shift this responsibility from one head to another head. Well, I understand that my boss is dealing with other things, and overall, I can solve my problems on my own because, okay, if I bring it to him, his
очень маленький.
cherry picking is quite problematic. And if I want something from him, I need to save his time and say specific things. When I send emails, I just go it one by one. Go there, here, do there, click this button, and so on to simplify it. Because when I open these letters or fill in some questionnaire, God forbid, this is a nightmare. So I keep their client journey in mind, understanding what they do. That a guy dealing with billions, and I just come with some little thing to him. He starts thinking that you start thinking as a manager that is this guy is in the right place if he wants me to take the decisions. He should be independent in the decision making in a way, like
Что по-честному,
to make our life easier. So how does it work? If we put it plainly, we have this hierarchy, right? We should bring some things to the bosses they could carry further up, for instance. And we should we shouldn't come with problems. We should say, here is the cool thing. He has, guys like you, like 5 guys like that. So he'll pick 2 out of these 5 things, and the guy further up will pick 2 more things out of his collection of 5, and so on. If you look at this hierarchy, that's the way it works. And if you come to your boss with your problems all the time, the boss will become neurotic. And he will tell the secretary to not let you in because this guy only carries problems with him. But if he gets some positive things, then he'll kind of further bring them further up, and then maybe he'll be more interested in what you do because he'll like to share it with his boss, and so on. Dmitry, thank you very much. Sorry for the break because we have our schedule. Thank you.